my country in pain. Oh yo yo. Like it only for people that feeling the pain. Aye aye aye. Like it change, that getting bad. Like it change, man now is crime only double. If it change, them youth man getting rebel. Yeah, some fellas that walk in the prison, teaching people to drive for the license. When you want them for something, man, they think they'll tell you. I want to born. Sometimes I feel to cry. Then I wonder why. Think about it, I will check you tomorrow. Think about it, I will see you later. Think about it, and that is the answer. Think about it, when we break a place. Oh yo yo. Get it? My country in shame. Oh yo yo. Poor people cannot stand the pain again. Aye aye aye. Like it change, man it get too bad. Like it change, man it get too hard. Like it change, then you man really get rebel. Yeah, some fellas inside the police force. When I have a bus man, they have a taxi. When you want them for something, they want the police just tell me. I want to ball. I feel to cry. Sometimes I wonder why. Think about it, I will check you tomorrow. Think about it, I will see you later. Think about it, man, that is the answer. Think about it, they want me to break up places up. Think about it, I will check you tomorrow. Think about it, I will see you later. Think about it, man, that is the answer. Think about it.
This is not politics. Please don't forget, I'm just practicing to be a poet. Not qualified as yet, but have no fear, I'm gonna get there. I'm not in this world to live up to your expectation. Neither are you in to live up to mine. I don't owe no one, no obligation. No one owes me none, so everything is fine. what you have, but you don't know what you go get. So cherish what you have to diminish regret. But what on earth lasts forever? Not even things created by the great Jehovah. So the green grass ceased to grow to allow the yellow vibes to flow. But boy, one song I sing, one bell I ring. If we didn't know, we never know yellow would have treat us so. When you trick us with camping promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is.
And good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Talking Points. My name's Sheldon Scott. I'll be here with you up until just before the 10 o'clock hour. I've got to leave. You know, it's Thursday nights. I usually have to leave a little earlier, right? Nice, yeah.
Administration, the cause of frustration.
But just close to 10, I'll be leaving.
Past administration, chief of corruption. Then to economic.
It's always wonderful to be here with you.
Can't give you attention.
You say good night to my Zelia.
The cause of
Good night to you, Deshaun.
economic recession.
Good night to you, Zela.
Meant for the ordinary man.
Good night to you, Zoe.
When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay.
Neela and I have to see this Neela and Namara. Neela and Namara, good night to both of you.
Strain, but you not refrain. You not refrain. All your
And I have to say a special good night. Yeah, a special good night to the listeners out there in the UK. Yeah, I want to give you all a special good night because you know what hour it is in the UK now in the morning. And there are people that actually stay up to listen to Talking Points. So I want to say a very special thank you and a very special good night to each and every one of you listening out there in the UK.
slow pace, we now run no race. 5 years is a
Good friend Irvin, yeah?
just a few hungry people in a place and a few disgruntled.
All you other listeners out there in the UK. My good relatives out there, yeah, good special good night to each and every one of you. A Duncan family, yeah?
Way it is, we've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease this.
Wow, I didn't even say anything more outside a good night yet, and somebody are taking a phone call. Hello, good night.
Good night, Mr. Scott. How you doing?
I'm quite fine. How are you doing?
Not too bad. I'm calling and I'm waiting for because you live in Minister 10. I'm calling because I hear talking about Mr. right now workers union all fed up with workers.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
calling and give my 2 pence
No,
only.
the union ain't fed up with the workers
Mr.
and the union fed up with the bosses. But go ahead.
Well, yeah, Mr. Scott, let me tell you something. I have a nephew that walking on the road with the government. 2 months now, he told me he have $1 in his pocket. 2 months. He man had children to send to school. Eh? His father had to dip in his pocket to take out money to support him. You understand? And when you call and you have a session and you talk about these things and then people get offended and talking about you're lambasting the government and you're saying bad things about the government. 2 months. Even his sister, he called on his sister today to get something from her. Why the government treating people like this? Why they doing people that? And the people and the people in this country, NDC believe that the government doing a proper job. They doing a marvelous job. They got to treat people right.
Yeah, go
You
ahead.
understand, Mr. Scott?
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead. I listen to you, man. I listen to you.
You understand?
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on in this place, brother. But enough is enough of this man. I'm not this man and them. I went to do some medication, some blood tests to get some result down there. Mr. Scott, nothing inside is to be done. Tomorrow I have to go and see if I could get it done down in GCNA tomorrow in the new place down there. What is going on in this country? What is going on? I hear negligence again. The little boy, that the little 4-year-old from Victoria died. Negligence. You have doctors there to help with our medication. What is going on in this place? If this man cannot manage, they cannot make it. Give it up and give it back. Give it us now. We go take it from there and we go do what we have to do. We gotta realize they can't run the country. Have a good night, Mr. Scott.
All right, thank you. 440-7377. I didn't even open the phone lines yet, but the caller decided they're not waiting, so I had to take the call. I mean, I don't know. One thing I've recognized of late is that always take the caller because there's always someone calling to give me some very valuable and important information. So I've learned, always take the call. I'll be joined by a guest a little later on during the night tonight. Yeah, because, some kind of things are here and there today. No, I mean, during the program last night, I did mention that the 3 individuals who are accused of certain offenses here in Grenada and escaped lawful custody. No, they're not accused of that. They did that. We know for sure they do that. But they've been accused of various other crimes. I heard that these individuals had been involved in a murder. I heard that while I was on air last night. But I decided to hold back on that information. That's why I say I ain't want to believe what I hear today in relation to that. I didn't want to believe that is what has taken place and so on. But we're going to get into that a little later on. Today, I was reading a post by the president of the Public Workers Union, Mr. Brian Grimes. That is the President General of the Public Workers Union. And it seems as though they get him upset, man. I realized he got upset. Yeah, because I know I've seen the document that they are trying to force. Yeah, I'm seeing the document that they are trying to force these public workers, the nursing assistants, to sign. I'm not sure of the nurses for sure, but I know the nursing assistants. They're trying to force them to sign that. And Mr. Grimes was saying here, I'm at a loss, I'm confused, I'm hurt. Why is the administration handling the health sector in this way? I'm not seeing a clear cogent, right, pathway to improved health care. Basic medicine is scarce. Nursing assistants are appalled at receiving backdated contracts. Basically zero regularization. Heavy immigration of nurses continue. Doctors have not gotten their $1,000 honorarium. Service delivery to the public has diminished, and the list goes on. I'm genuinely confused. On top of that, there are some so driven by politics that they believe advocating for the well-being of their fraternity is an attack on their political party. I pray we can fix this as a country. And I'm telling you, yeah, I've seen that statement by Mr. Grimes, and I've also seen I've seen the contracts. Yeah, I've seen the contracts that these people are being asked to sign. So I've seen the contracts that these people are being asked to sign, and I am seriously concerned. Yeah, let me say that again. I am seriously concerned. Because you have basically what they've done is they're asking you to sign a contract that's dated back to 2 years ago as the beginning of the contract. So you understand what I'm saying? They're asking these people to sign a contract that basically dated to 2 years ago. And the contract ends in June of this year. So you're asking people to sign these contracts. And the contracts, let me see if I can, I will show all you, man. Yeah, don't worry, I will show all you what day. Yeah, I will show all you what day, man. Yeah, so they're asking people to sign these contracts. And it's the way that they're asking the people to sign the contracts, even if everything is okay in the contracts. And you're asking the nursing assistants to sign these contracts and so on. Even if everything was okay in the contract, the method that they use tells me that there is something more in the mortar than the pestle. And I'm saying to the nursing assistants, don't sign. Do not sign. There's something in that mortar more than just the pestle. Right now, the conversation, according to what we've heard on the platform and afterwards, ought to have been regularization, not contract work. Because as far as the present administration is concerned, contract work is supposed to be illegal. We heard them say it. I played it this week for you all. Yeah? So as far as we know, and as far as they are saying, because it was not the NNP that was saying contract work is illegal. It was the NDC, their political leader, their Minister of Finance, were the ones on the platform along with others claiming that contract work is illegal and that within a year they would be regularizing everybody. Yeah? Pie in the sky. Right? But instead of that, this is what, and I'll show you all exactly what it is. This is what nurses are facing right now. This is what they're being asked to sign. Let me see if I can pull the first one up. Right? This is what they are being asked to sign now. And let me just get the right computer up. Right, yeah. Let me just get the right computer up with this. They are being asked to sign these documents. And let me just pull the first one here. Right? Why is this doing this? Yes. Okay, great. Yeah, this is what they are being asked to sign. They were given this after 4 yesterday. After 4 yesterday, they were handed this and told that they need to sign it by 12 o'clock today, by midday today, that they needed to sign this. Yeah, gunfight at high noon. So they told the nurses that they needed to sign this document. Right? Now, the nursing assistants. Now look at the date of effect of this. Look at the date of effect. The government shall employ the officer to perform the service of nursing assistant in the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Religious Affairs for a period of 2 years with effect from the 1st of June 2022. So they didn't say that we're giving you a contract now that will be in effect from 2024 to 2026. They're saying that they're backdating the contract. And then they don't want the nurses to take this to the union. The union apparently wasn't even aware that this was happening until earlier today or late yesterday. They were not aware. Yeah? In fact, when you see the post by the President General of the Public Workers Union, you realize like they may have just gotten to know about what is actually taking place with these nurses. So they're asking them to sign a backdated document. In some jurisdictions, good night to you, Joyce. In some jurisdictions, I believe that may even be illegal. In some jurisdictions, these days seems like anything goes here. But in some jurisdictions, that may even be illegal. So they're asking these nurses to sign. This is what they're asking them. This is a government of Grenada contract that they're asking them to sign. Yeah? And the government of Grenada is represented by the secretary to the cabinet. Right? That's the person who is going to countersign. And it's for a period. The government shall employ the officer to perform the service of nursing assistant in the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Religious Affairs for a period of 2 years with effect from the 1st of June 2022. That's the contract that they are asking the nurses to sign. Yeah, that is what they're asking the nurses, the nursing assistants, to sign. Let's make sure we have it correct, because you have nurses and you have nursing assistants. Together with that, this is also what they're saying the salaries are. But when the nursing assistants double check, they say the maths ain't adding up when it comes to what this contract is saying and what they're actually receiving. They say that maths ain't adding up. Yeah? So they're not even giving them a chance to double check and say, well, okay, yes, that is what I was receiving in 2022 for sure. They ain't giving them enough time to double check anything. They just want them to rush. You have to sign by 12 o'clock today. Don't sign. Don't sign. Who want to vex their faces they own? Don't sign. Yeah? Uniform $750 per annum. Commuting $2,400 per annum. Don't sign. Telling all the straight. Because they have to give you all enough time so that your union can go over this document. They have to make sure that your vacation time is in line with what the union has negotiated for on your behalf. They have to make sure that the different terms and conditions in relation to things like ill health. Nurse Maguire, where are you? Yeah, things like ill health and so on. They have to make sure that the different terms and conditions under that contract are suitable. But instead of giving your union the opportunity to peruse and go through this document, instead of doing that, they're trying to force the nurses to sign. So imagine, let's say you're a nurse. So after 4 whatever yesterday, you're finishing up, and then they come and they give you this document, they send the document, so you get the document. After 4 yesterday, you can't find a legal person to double check it for you. You can't find a union representative those hours to check on anything for you. And then 8 o'clock this morning, you got to go to work. Unless they want you to leave the patients out there, patients who are at the different facilities, or even people at that you might be doing. Let's say there are some that do house visits, you might have to do that, or whoever. So instead of being able to go and do that, you have to leave that off to go and confirm that what is in this document is what's supposed to be in the document. That's what we reach to right now. Yeah? Because there are different clauses inside here that people need to be careful with. They need to make sure on things like, for instance, if you're speaking about dismissal, if you're speaking about termination, yeah? If you're speaking about these things like officer to devote time to government and continuation of employment and all these things, they have to fall in line with what the unions, the Nurses Association and the Public Workers Union, have negotiated on behalf of this category of workers. So to try to stick it down their throat, yeah, to try to stick it down their throat. You'd have heard all different sectors making noise about this. If this kind of thing had been attempted under the New National Party, you would have heard all kind of voices out there making all kind of noise about it. Yeah? You would have heard all kind of voices out there making noises about it. But under the NDC, it seems as though what was wrong in people's eyes, certain people, not all, in certain people's eyes, what was wrong under the New National Party is all right under the National Democratic Congress. Yeah? So if it was wrong under the New National Party, it is right under the NDC. So they're out there and they would try to defend anything and they would try to attack anything that you put out and you speak about. And they're rabid out there like if they have rabies. Some of them have political rabies outside there. So the moment you speak your mind, they start to attack you. So I look at Facebook from time to time on social media, and I see the way that some of these people attack people for just giving their opinion. Because it seems like it's getting illegal in Grenada to give your opinion. Yeah? We live in a country called Grenada, not the People's Democratic Republic of North Korea. We do not live in Eritrea. We live in a country called Grenada in the Caribbean, and we are known as a people that speak our mind. And as such, when people speak their mind, there's sometimes a person call a program, next thing you hear, they're under attack. People have to be afraid to stand up and talk to different individuals, because the moment they do that, they become the target of attacks. Yeah? I've had it personally myself, you know. You stand up in town, you're talking with somebody, papa, don't let that person be working with government now. And most times, the people have to give me information. They go stand up in town and just give me information like that in full view, everybody. They're not stupid. I have many friends who work within the public service in every single ministry and department that exists in the government of Grenada. I have friends and I have relatives. Yeah? Let me say it again. I have friends and I have relatives in every single government, ministry and department here in Grenada. So I speak to people all the time. But the moment they see you, they passing and they're watching in the vehicle and they're watching cross-eye. And then you hear they're trying to attempt all kind of things to get rid of that person because they speak to you. Yeah? That is the attitude of some of these people that have their political rabies in this country. And the things that they should be speaking on, I ain't had to tell them what to speak on. But if they were championing those causes before and they really truly believed in it, they would still continue championing those causes and speaking on them. It tells you that they're fake. It tells you that these people not real. So they would be speaking on an issue and when they're in opposition, and and this and that, and then they might change. They might change now. When not the same thing, but worse than what they accused the last administration of. Worse than what they accused the last administration on is happening now. But they get a case of mutitis. They lose their voice. Like their tongue drop out. Like somebody super glue their lips. They can't even use sign language because they've gotten silent on these issues. Or, in the worst case, some of them are actually trying to defend things that are happening now. So when you speak about what is happening with the healthcare workers here, they try to defend that, This is non-defensible. You can't defend that indefensible. But they try to defend that sort of thing. And in line with what the president of the Public Workers Union was saying, when you talk out on these things, they take it as an attack on the political party. Well, if your political party dunce, and if they're stupid, and if they're doing the wrong thing, and if they're incompetent, then it's an attack on them. Because we're calling them out for what they are doing and what they are not doing. So take it as an attack. When I say it, take it as an attack. I ain't afraid to say it. I ain't no hypocrite and I ain't hiding it. Take it as an attack. So they would try to do better. Instead of trying to do better, they're focusing on all sorts of other things. Focus on getting the job done. That's what they need to focus on. So at a point in time that you have nurses and nursing assistants, let me tell you, if a nursing assistant leaves Grenada now and they go to the UK and they apply out there for a job through the proper process and so on, they're getting through, They ain't had to come back here. The same with if they go to the US or they go to Canada and so on, they have a profession that is in great demand outside of Grenada. That's why countries like the Philippines, they have large schools that they train lots of nurses and so on and provide across the world. But here in Grenada, while we should be trying to retain the ones we have and see if we could get some others from countries like Cuba and get training opportunities from countries like Cuba, when the Cuban people invite the last minister of health, the people buy ticket, the people organize everything. All the money go down the drain. They ain't show up. They ain't going away in Cuba. Like they don't want nothing to do with Cuba. The same Cubans who help us to construct the hospital. The same Cubans who, along with the Venezuelans, used to help us with the Miracle Eye program. The same Cubans who in from 1979 up to 1983 provided scholarships and opportunities to train many young Grenadians who otherwise would never have had that opportunity in medicine. They train a lot in other things too, but medicine. And who afterwards continued to provide training opportunities for Grenadians. That when Dr. Keith Mitchell went and he reopened that door to Cuba, that once again, many young Grenadians whose parents could never have afforded that, they would not have been able to afford it for their children to go to school in Cuba. They got that opportunity. So instead of us trying to keep people like that close, instead of us trying to work along with the Cubans and so on, we're treating them with discourtesy. And while you're treating them with discourtesy, somebody, no, I ain't sending it for nobody. Don't ask for the contract. I'm not sending it. Yeah? While you have that situation going on where you are treating the Cubans with such discourtesy that you are not engaging them in the proper manner to ensure that benefits can be found for the Grenadian people to help improve the healthcare system here. While you're not doing that, you're doing things like that. You're doing things like that, like attacking. You're doing things like that, like attacking the nursing assistants right now. So you want to bully them into having to sign by noon today. You want to bully them. And you think that is all right. And then you have some dunce out there looking to defend that. Yeah? Because they can't be anything else but dunce. They either dunce or they're wicked or both. They're wicked and dunce. They have to be so. Because there's no way I could understand that you have a healthcare system that is going through what Grenada's healthcare system is going through now. You have problems with medication. You have stop denying it, stop lying. When people go there, they are going through it. There's a problem for medication. There's a problem even for dressing in some locations. There is a problem. Address the problem. There's a problem when it comes to having doctors on call. You promise them a $1,000 honorarium. The Prime Minister and the Minister of what? International, not the Minister, he diaspora ambassador or whatever that he take and they'll be dragging all over the place with him. The treasurer of the NDC. I don't know how they ended up being the one that going around with the Prime Minister, not the Minister of Health at the time, going around with the Prime Minister having meeting with doctors in different locations all over the place. We're giving you $1,000. And up to now, they can't see it. If you didn't promise them was one thing, but you made a promise to them. And then, when it comes to paying these people them, like a dunce, you come and blaming all the people who working within the ministries in the finance departments. Poor them. You double their workload. You didn't put any mechanism in place to quicken the process. You didn't bring new software. You didn't add new staff. You didn't have a new mechanism of how payments are being prepared. But you expect them to do the work that used to take them a whole month to do. You expect them to basically do that work in 1 week. So they don't have until the 15th of this month to prepare something, and then they can start working on the 15th of next month. No. They have to make sure that they have a payment ready by the 15th of this month, another one ready by, so they can't be completing the things by the 15th. It has to be completed the week before and to it to be verified by the Ministry of Finance and all of that. Because these people dance. There's no other way to describe them. They dance. And who not dunce? Wicked. And there's the third category of dunce and wicked. So there's no excuse for that. So they could attack who they want to attack and they could say what they want to say and all that sort of thing. It doesn't change the facts. When someone is in pain or their life is in danger and they go to the healthcare facility and they cannot receive treatment, or they cannot receive treatment in time, or a family member has to go and run down into the town to go and find some medication or something. And we believe that is okay. We believe that is good. And that's the message we want to be sending out to the diaspora and telling people everything is all well and all good in Grenada. Everything is not all well and all good in Grenada. Stop lying. And some of them lying so much that they think that they're lying to themselves, and they're beginning to feel now, if they lie to themselves enough that it will become reality. No, it is still a lie. It's a lie from the beginning, it's a lie in the ending, it's a lie. So you have a situation this morning. First of all, the Royal Grenada Police Force, we have a situation. They sent out this notice. So this notice was sent out through the GIS this morning. Emergency press conference. The Royal Grenada Police Force extends an invitation to members of the media to an emergency press conference, 11 a.m. today. Yeah, February 22nd at the GIS studio. Presenter will be Assistant Commissioner of Police Vanny Kerwin. Update in relation to the 3 escapees. So it had that this morning. Then, when people sit down and they're waiting, they say, well, 11 o'clock is press conference. Then you got this one. Update RGPF emergency press conference. The Royal Grenada Police Force extends an invitation to members of the media to an emergency press conference 3 p.m. today, Thursday, February 22nd at the Minister of Infrastructure, Conference Room, 4th floor, Ministerial Complex, ACP Vanny Kerwin, as the presenter an update in relation to the 3 escapees. So people waiting 3 o'clock, they waiting to hear, they waiting to see what the press conference is about, and so they waiting, yeah? And then you see this one pop up instead. Update RGPF emergency press conference. Please be informed that the RGPF emergency press conference scheduled for 3 p.m. today, Thursday, February 22nd, has been cancelled. Yeah? So that can't be an emergency. Because if it was an emergency and you all wanted to really inform the Grenadian people of what was going on, you all would have made sure and had the press conference and informed the Grenadian people. But instead of that, you know what it ended up as? It ended up as a press release. I wonder where's the press release? Yeah, it ended up as a press release instead. And let me just read the press release before I bring on. I hope my guest is there waiting. So I'm going to bring on my guest in a little while with me. All right. And it says here, let me see. Yeah. The Royal Grenada Police Force wishes to inform the public that in December of 2023, we experienced some challenges in the general areas of Grandans Beach. As a result of the dedication and commitment of the members of the force, the following 3 suspects were arrested. 1. Ron Mitchell, 30 years, sailor of Paradise St. Andrew. 2. Trevon Robertson, 19 years old, unemployed of Paradise St. Andrew. 3. Atiba Stanislaus, 25 years old, a farmer also of Paradise St. Andrew. These 3 men were jointly charged with 1 count of robbery with violence. Additionally, Ron Mitchell was charged separately with 1 count of rape, 3 counts of attempted rape, 2 counts of indecent assault, and causing harm. All 3 men were kept in the holding cell at the South St. George Police Station and escaped lawful custody on Sunday, the 18th of February, 2024. However, collaboration with our regional counterparts in St. Vincent and the Grenadines have led to the recapture of these men by the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force yesterday, Wednesday 21st, 2024. Preliminary information emanating from investigations in St. Vincent suggests that the 3 men made their way to St. Vincent via a yacht, which was docked in the St. George area. The RGPF is currently working on leads that suggest that the 2 occupants of the yacht may have been killed in the process. It is believed that occupants of the yacht were American citizens. This investigation is in its infancy stage, and the RGPF have dispatched a team of senior investigators and a forensic specialist to St. Vincent in furtherance of this investigation. Commissioner Don McKenzie has ordered an immediate investigation into the circumstances of the escaped prisoners. In another incident, an intense operation was mounted to recapture another fugitive who has escaped while attending the Grenville Magistrate Court on Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. That's yesterday. Leave on date, who was charged for the killing of Canadian citizen Wayne Smart in 2023, has escaped from lawful custody and is currently on the run. Excuse me. The RGPF is seeking the general public's assistance in recapturing Mr. Date and thanks the public for their continued assistance in the process. All right, and the source again is the Commissioner of Police and so on and so forth. All right, nice. So folks, you know what? I want to take a short break while I bring my guest on. So let me just put on this there. Yeah, I need to bring my guest on. Yeah.
They say when you don't have good food, you must take in front. So this is my Kaiso for the Masgra 2023. Make sure all come out and support me. No politics, just Kaiso. Let's go. There is no place in the world.
Right, and let me say a special good night to my good brethren here. Good night, brethren.
Good night, my brother, and good night to all your listeners in listener land.
No, man, like Rodney, fix you up, man. I find you very clean and clear there tonight, man. That's Rodney up, man. Rodney that fix you up there, bro.
Well, you know, Rodney keeping me very young. I mean, the amount of energy I have to expound for Rodney when the day comes is unbelievable. But it's all good.
You hear him again? Rodney's the boss. Yes, yep. Indeed, bro. Several things came to light today in relation to the case of the 3 escaped prisoners. We have been following this case. Yes, we have been following this case over the past couple days, and it seems as though Rodney wants to have his input in relation to the discussion tonight as well. Let me just take you off a bit. Yeah. So it seems as though, Rodney wants to have his bit on the discussion tonight. Now, folks, what has been happening is that, again, from what you've heard from the Royal Grenada Police Force, there are individuals who were anchored here in Grenada. Their vessel was found in St. Vincent. And callers, you'll have to hold for a while. The vessel was found in St. Vincent, and up there in St. Vincent, they found the vessel. There are blood stains, etc., in the vessel, and so therefore the Royal Grenada Police Force on this end, they have sent up a team, right? They have sent up a team as well to go and check on what is taking place there. So my good brother Nimrod Olivier, when Rodney allows you to to come back on with us, we'll have that discussion. Well, so yes, folks. So what we have found out now is that the vessel was here. The 3 individuals are up there. This is what we know as facts right now. The vessel was here. The vessel left on Sunday. The vessel is now located in St. Vincent. It has been found in St. Vincent. There are signs of struggle. There are also blood stains on that vessel. There are signs of struggle and there are blood stains on that vessel. And the occupants, the people who ought to be on that yacht, are not on the yacht. They have not seen them. They're not hearing from them, and individuals are looking for them. Brother Nimrod, your take on the recent happenings. What is happening now in relation to this case?
Once again, good night, Brother Sheldon, and to all your listeners. It's just, reading the updates is just heart-wrenching, and we are still praying and hoping that it's not, the result is not as the evidence seems to be pointing. But following the reports coming out of St. Vincent and the little tidbits that you get in here, it seems to think that something may have gone afoul, and now this investigation would go from fugitives to probably investigating a double homicide. Well,
my brother, what is having me a bit concerned here too is, again, we have a situation where it seems as though there's also a double homicide with all of this, and we're not sure. We don't know the facts in relation to it, so we don't know if it's in Grenadian waters or if it's in Vincentian waters, but we know that whatever incident took place most likely involves these 3 escaped prisoners. It's highly unlikely that all of these things just fall in line together, that it's highly likely that these individuals are involved in it. From the U.S. end, do you see anything from the U.S. end on this matter?
Well, I haven't seen anything so far. I actually didn't even really speak to none of my contacts or resources out there. But at the end of the day, you're talking about the possible death of 2 U.S. citizens. So, and we know how the U.S. Treat their citizens.
They don't play
around the world, and so yes, there would be. I'm quite sure there would be some. Once there's some sort of confirmation, I'm sure there would be some inquiries coming from the U.S. side, and so they will be seeking answers. And again, a lot of these things, based on who the persons were, based on their ability, financially and all of that, you might find other entities from the state side getting involved because they would be seeking answers. Sheldon, the sad part, here it is that you end up in a full-blown investigation for escape, and now you're possibly going into homicide, or in our waters, in the Caribbean waters. But I don't know if you remember the other night when I spoke about the nature, because of the nature of the crimes that these young men were charged in, some more urgency should have been put out by the police, by the RGPF, regarding the escape of these men. Now, I am not 100% certain that at the time that the alert came out, or the release came out, was the actual time that it was discovered. I'm not sure if they were looking for them before and then decided sometime in the night, 10 o'clock or so, to indicate that here the escape took place. But when I looked at what these young men were charged with, right, you're talking rape, robbery, what it said to me was, hey, they're charged with these crimes. And if you without even going into a full background history of the crime pattern, it tells me that there's only one way that this thing could go, and it could possibly be ending in a homicide. And here we are, not even 48 hours later, and it seems like that's what it is. Because when you look at the escalation of crimes, right, the top charge is normally murder, right? There's an acronym that we use, Mr. Rab. So it's murder, rape, robbery, felonious assault, grand larceny, auto. And it's because they were already at that threshold of rape and robbery. It tells you now that, hey, they escape, and if anybody come in their way, most likely they will do what they have to do to continue that escape. And sadly, it seems that that's where we are. So that's what I meant, that, there should have been a little more urgency. And going forward, we need to develop, this is not even about politics here, but we need to have a comprehensive alarm or alert system here in Grenada, that the police could utilize the telecommunication agencies here, the two, and send out a text immediately so that people could be aware, right? You're assuming that these young men may have traveled from Grenada to the Panday area. That's a good distance. So whether they did it on the beach, they walked the sand up, or they walked in the street, had this mass text gone out, so somebody would have seen something, and probably been able to alert the RGPF. Now, there are those of us that knew of the other escape in the countryside, right, from the Grenville court. And it's just been officially documented now in another release after they canceled 2 press conferences today, right? You're seeing it as a side story, right? As a side story, as they're talking about the possible incident in St. Vincent. But it makes me wonder if the reason why they canceled the press conference today is because of the hard questions.
But let me say this though. They sent out that release, and they didn't think it necessary to send out a photograph of what the individual that they're looking for looks like. Now, I know, and again, let me make it clear that I'm not attacking the rank and file of the Royal Grenada Police Force. These men and women work real hard, so I'm not attacking them. But the people who are making the decisions at the top, you're sending out a release saying that this person has escaped custody. You don't even think it was wise to attach a photograph of the individual so that the person sitting on the bus where he's driving on would know it's him, or the person who just see him buying a 2 beers at the village shop to go in the bush knows it's him. You didn't think it's necessary to send out a photo so people would know what the individual looks like, so that they'd be able to help in the apprehension of the individual by calling and letting the police know?
Well, it speaks to the level of incompetency, and to me, these fellas at the top, it's a lot of ego, it's a lot of bluff, but they have no clue about national security. And so they take national security and they think national security is just about crime. And no, it's not. Yes, crime is a component. It's one component. It's a part of national security. But you and I, national security affects you and I that are good citizens that don't participate in crime. But we need other assurances from the government. And so here you are. You have this escape of these 3 young men, and you have zero word from the police commissioner or the Minister of National Security or any cabinet minister, because this is something of national interest. Because believe it or not, it's going to affect your tourism, right?
It's only
I'm not even dwelling on the National Security Advisor, because the National Security Advisor is not a member of the cabinet.
Boss, let me not talk about a waste of time. That the man is a waste of time. Let me just not talk about a waste of time.
But at least, even if the Minister of National Security is not available, a press conference should have been held to update the nation. And a cabinet member could have been there along with the police commissioner and an assistant police commissioner. But you have the most competent of the lot of them was supposed to do a press conference. Because believe me, I think he, with a lot of them at the top of he's probably the only one that really have some understanding as regarding this crime thing. So it was scheduled for 10 o'clock. All right, and maybe that time these guys had a hearing in St. Vincent, maybe he wanted some more facts or whatever. It was canceled and put off, it was put off for 3 o'clock. In between 10 o'clock and 3 o'clock, you had the story pretty much leaking, and in one of the papers here, and the paper went on to say, a good source in the police force indicate this. So who's the leaker? Who is being held responsible for this type of thing? This is national security we are talking about. And some heads should roll. Somebody should be held accountable. And meanwhile, you hear zero from the commissioner, zero from the Minister of National Security. And then, of course, this evening, this convoluted press release comes out. That's how you inform the nation, right? Let's take a look at but again, I strongly believe that they canceled the press conference because the number one question would be 3 weeks ago in that same precinct or police station in South St. George, another individual escaped. Another individual escaped 3 weeks ago, right? We didn't know about that one. They kept it under the wraps. So they knew there was a problem with the holding cell there. Zero repairs was done. Nothing was done to fix it. Then you have 3 high-profile prisoners. Yes, they didn't kill at the time, or we still don't know if they killed, but they were charged with rape, robbery, felonious assault. You have a constable and 2 recruits working. So no senior personnel in the station house. And you have all 3 of them together, not separated, which baffles me. And you take them and you bring them to the same location where you lost a prisoner 3 weeks ago. Does that even begin to make sense? But I'll give you one better. The one that they're looking for from Grenville came from Richmond Hill to Grenville. You know for what? You know why they took him out from Richmond Hill to bring him to Grenville? He's a possible murder suspect, but he also has a weed charge. So they bring him to Grenville to answer the weed charge. But I thought it was okay for us to deal with weed in Grenada. So you have a man that's facing possible murder charge, and you take him out from Richmond Hill prison with 1 police officer to go answer a ganja charge. When they kind of say, I saw my political, my prime minister digging up the weed tree, standing there with the weed tree, holding the weed tree, right? So it baffles me now that, hey, we even still locking people up for weed. As a matter of fact, there's somebody in my constituency that reached out that he got locked up. He got locked up for for 2 ganja tree over the weekend.
Oh,
I'm
yeah?
like, well, I didn't even know, because
I didn't think we still locking up people for that.
that's what I thought, right? But that's the gentleman in Grenville. That was the charge that he was in Grenville to face, right? I'm not in the courts. I'm not saying that they should dismiss the weed charge or whatever, but we have to be a little more cognizant and a little more conscious. I strongly believe because of the low morale in the police force is demoralized, and a lot of these guys are just going through the motion. While we cannot fault them, I do hope and I do pray that they realize that they are dealing with situations where they themselves could be hurt. And I would not want to see that a police officer that leaves his family to go to work, to serve and to protect, gets injured because of the slackness and the lack of concern from his superiors that they are not providing the adequate tools for him to for him or her to effectively execute the job.
Mr. Nimrod Olivier, let me ask you this question, because I know that, in fact, while I'm speaking to you here, I've just received a WhatsApp message on the studio WhatsApp from journalists in Trinidad trying to find out what's going on with this case, because the case has taken on a regional, and from what I'm seeing, some of these individuals are also attached with AP, etc. So an international leaning. which is going to, I mean, it's bad. You know, it's bad. When you have this situation where you might find yourself on CNN for something you don't want to be there for. We're the Isle of Spice. We are a beautiful country. This is what we're finding ourselves on international news for. This is what the BBC is going to speak about. The two tourists who go missing from Grenada. The two American tourists. This is what, for want of a better example, Fox News and all the other agencies are going to pick up. That you had two American tourists who have now gone missing in Grenada. And it's bad on us. And it's something that could have been avoided. It is something that definitely could have been avoided. In circumstances like this, do you see at any level the US becoming involved in the furtherance of this case? Especially with the vessel having been found and so, do you see either the FBI or some other agency becoming involved, coming down to see what is going on?
Well, definitely, because while we do have forensic and we do have capability in the Caribbean here, I believe, and I don't think St. Vincent has a problem because the jurisdiction for the vessel right now is St. Vincent. But if it's and definitely if the origination port is Grenada, I think then definitely the US would get involved to as it regards to forensic and to trying to help piece it together. At the end of the day, it's two US citizens that are missing, right? At this point, they're regarded or they're classified as missing, right? And I'm quite sure, I'm quite positive that as we speak, there are already movement from the US side as regard to get to, to get involved in this investigation.
Indeed. And folks, I'm speaking here with Mr. Nimrod Oliver. He's a former senior police officer in the NYPD. Also Navy officer. He was in the Navy as well.
Nobody talks about the military career, but I also served in the US Navy for 23 years.
Yes, the Navy officer as well. And we're speaking about the current situation. Do you think that there's an absolute need for the development of an messaging system in the same way as, for instance, if a child goes missing, if and prisoners go missing, is there a need for the development of a messaging system, some sort of messaging system for the island of Grenada, so we can avoid situations like this in the future?
I believe we definitely needs it. It should be done. I think I stated that earlier on. And it doesn't take much. I mean, you have two major telecommunication company here. You commission them, and the alert could be in the form of as an alert that comes across the phone. It could be in the form of a text. But the point is getting the community involved in situations like this early o'clock is very important. Look, in policing, you're going to lose prisoners. Right, and it's a gut-wrenching feeling when you lose a prisoner. Right, I've had prisoner attempted to escape. I was kind of fat, but I have a record of never losing a prisoner. Once I keep you inside, I'm going to catch you because I know you would eventually get tired and you would slow down and I would catch you. But the point is when a prisoner runs on you or you lose a prisoner, it was an all hands on deck. It's all out, and I know that they did that here because I know in Grenville when the one escaped from the police force from the court, pretty much the officers in Grenville, I'm not sure if they brought in outside resources, were all on alert looking. But again, maybe if you notified the public, if you notified civilians in the area, somebody would see something. Sheldon, I learned from policing that, you could be the world's greatest detective and you solve a high percentage of crime. But you know where we get that information from? Where we get that information from? People, man. People. I remember when as a young cop and I was working the midnight shift. And it's in the dead of the night. And you think nobody sees, and some little old lady is going to call the precinct and say, hey, the guy that you're looking for, he's hiding behind such and such and such and such. So somebody always sees, but you have to keep the public in tune. You have to keep the public involved. And it seems the hostility between the egotistic guys at the top of the fort, while they're busy trying to figure out who is NNP and who is NDC and reward NDC and get rid of NNP, they're also doing the same thing with the public, and maybe they figure they can solve it without the public. But I'm here to tell them that you need to get the community involved. We need to have some sort of level of community police, and they need to stop politicizing the force, because some of the same persons that you are hurting that voted for you and you think they're NMP, but they voted for you to be there now, and you attacking them and you're going after them, they have families in the community also. They have family in the communities also. And I've always said, and you know, it's not about politics, but at the end of the day, we all pay taxes in this country. Whether you are NNP or you are NDC, you pay taxes, and each and every one of us deserve to get the best treatment from our police force. We deserve that because we pay for that.
Yes, indeed. I know that there were some concerns about from the videos that have been circulating, which I decided not to show last night on recommendation of some of the viewers, and I'm glad they did recommend that, with the treatment that was being meted out to the individuals in St. Vincent. I'm not clear on the situation. I heard one story, I heard different stories as to why they would be being treated that way. Any comments on that, on how they were being treated? Well, we saw one basically being thrown like a bag of potato inside a van.
Again, what we saw is a 10-second clip. That clip was actually 10 seconds, right? And 10 seconds cannot tell you the whole story, right? At the end of the day, we are not even sure if the officer that was putting him in the van was the original responding officer. But if you escape from Grenada and you made it to another country with the possibility of probably harming or maiming two individuals en route to the other country, you think when the police show up, even if maybe and they may have been in plain clothes, and they show up, you're going to go peacefully like you're going to church? I'm quite sure they would have, you know. So again, we look at 10 seconds and we don't know what led up prior to all of that. We don't know if there was a fight. We don't know if there was some other things going on. So, you know, it's kind of hard to make judgment.
You know, you can't help it with Rodney. Indeed, folks. Yes, and I am speaking here with Mr. Nimrod Olivier and Olivier Jr. as well. As you can see, Olivier Jr. has joined him onto the chat. So he's joined him. But Brother Nimrod, there's last year, and correct me if I'm wrong. I want you to correct me if I'm wrong. Last year, when we had the upsurge in gun violence and so on within this country, when we had the upsurge in murders, according to by the gun and so on, and other murders, a significant, I can't remember what number we ended on for the year. The Prime Minister, after on this program and other programs, yourself, myself, others called him out, and he finally spoke. He said there was the formation of a National Security Council. Have you heard another word about this National Security Council? Especially in situations like this, we expect to hear something about the National Security Council.
I didn't hear another word from the National Security Council, but I can tell you, even with the formation of that National Security Council, I think that did the council not even understanding what national security is. Because I can tell you, one of the on the way. Right, Rodney, right.
I go through this, Brother Nimrod, I go through the exact same thing, so I understand what you're going through. Go right ahead.
One of the first one of the things that they ask at that meeting, one of the national security advisors, I mean, you go into a National Security Council meeting, and the question was, all right, when the next crime wave, we need a plan for when the next crime wave come. What are we going to do? But again, I said earlier on, national security is not just about crime. But so that was just focus on getting a quick fix for when the next crime wave come. Well, first of all, do you know when the next crime wave come in? How are you going to predict it? You need to talk about policies. You need to talk because national security involves immigration. It involves your border. It involves your medical facilities. It involves food security. It involves agriculture. You know, it's not. But they were just focused, and they think national security is the police. So I guess when it was pointed out to them that, hey, this thing is more broad-based, and it's not just about the police and crime. I think the egos with some of these fellas that are advisors, I don't know. I don't know what they are thinking, and it tells me a couple of these guys were the same advisors in the 2008, 2013 administration, and we know what happened. They advised then Prime Minister Tillman Thomas badly, and we all know how that ended. So the jury's out, you know.
But I'm still waiting to hear at least one new policy directive, one new initiative, one new idea of the so-called Security Council. In fact, I believe that they lied to us, and we do not have a National Security Council. We were never told who the members of that National Security Council are. We were never told what the objectives of that National Security Council are. We were never given a timeline when that National Security Council would report back to the people of Grenada. So it seems as though they just focus on drone show and things, so they ain't bothering with issues like crime.
In all fairness, they did have a couple of meetings. They did have a couple of meetings.
Oh, so they do have one. Nice.
They did have a couple of meetings. At one of the meetings, the Minister of National Security was there. So I can confirm that. But again, you hear nothing because their focus was on crime. And once they were told that, hey, national security is you have to look at it from a more holistic view, and you have to engage the other sectors in order to really understand. Look, I think the whole crisis that the RGPF is facing now, I think I may have said it on one of the programs before. The way that policing has changed, right? The leadership in a police force right now is akin to the CEOs and the executives in major companies, right? These guys, they're not grasping that, right? You have to be technical and tactical. And I think they just have this, oh, well, I was a police for 30 years mentality without bringing themselves up to date with modern day policing, right? You find major police company, major police force around the world, what they're doing? They are hiring commissioners and so in civilian world because they realize it's more about managing, right? So if you're in there and that is what you want to do, then you have to bring yourself up to speed. Hence, the past commissioner, what did he do? He went back to school, got his master's degree in a field that is not necessarily limited to just policing. The deputy commissioner, Redhead, 2 master's degree. Because they realize, Martin and Redhead realize that you have to educate yourself and get up to speed with modern day policing. These guys, they're just focused on, oh, well, he's with us, so let me promote him. Oh, he's married to somebody that's now a minister with us, so we have to promote him, right? We have to give, and his wife was a minister, but she's an NMP minister. She's good. Forget what the man can bring to the table. We can't have he there. We had to get rid of he, because his wife was an NMP minister. But the other guy, he can stay because his wife is now a NDC minister, and we will promote him and confirm.
Yeah,
if that's how you're running, if that's how you plan to run the police force, you are doomed. And I keep saying the damage that's being done to the police force now, it will take 20 to 25 years to fix. They need to open their eyes and police the police force. You need to boost the morale of these young officers. There's a lot of young, brilliant officers. Sheldon, I can tell you, there's at least 200 police officers well, half of them probably leave now, that has degrees and so, right? Utilize them. You have an educated police force. Utilize them. Take the politics out of the police force and let us do what's right to ensure that the citizens of this country are getting proper security and safety.
Yes, indeed. And we know Rodney is in on the conversation as well.
He's writing his name for me. What did you write?
So we could confirm that we have the National Security Council, but we are yet to hear. They're just not telling us anything as to what is going on with the National Security Council. We're not getting information.
No, they will tell you. But you had to write the question in advance, my brother. Isn't that the new norm right now?
Oh, yeah. So we have to write questions in advance.
The question in advance and send it in, and then we'll get AI to answer the questions just in case we don't know the answer. Right?
Yes, indeed. I think I'm going to try to take some calls while you are on with me, Brother Nimrod. So, folks, we're going to open the phone line, and you know the issue that we're speaking about. We're going to open the phone line because if this matter develops in the way that we think it's developing, there are significant consequences for the island of Grenada. Significant consequences for the island of Grenada. And as such, we must be on our P's and Q's, and the powers that be must understand what it is that they are doing and ensure that it is done properly. Yeah, they must ensure that they know what they're doing, they plan what they're doing, and it is done properly. And I think we have a caller on the line, Brother Nimrod. Let me just see if you would hear the caller. Go right ahead, caller.
Good night, Sheldon. Good night, Comrade Nimrod.
Good night.
As much you don't catch the voice.
Good night. Yes,
Listen,
I can.
This thing is going to have long-lasting implication because I have a friend who is in the FBI, and he hit me up today and he asked me if I know what's going on in my country. And he told me exactly what happened, and I tell you something, it's very scary. Alright, and as Nimrod says, we had prisoners escaped in the past, but nothing like this. And if you guys do the check back on the records, you would see as soon under the leadership of people like Winston James, and guys before him, information was disseminated to the public. I mean, the media at the time was not as advanced as it were, but they would give you description, tell you where the person, who is the person's family and things like that, and immediately you would have help from the public locating individuals, be whether it is for obscene language, up to a murder, you would have had. And Nimrod says it the right way. Everybody in the RGPF now is for themselves. They're just tapping themselves on the shoulder. I have achieved this position because I'm a supporter of this. But this is the wrong way. And 25 years is going to be a long time to rebuild that with the force. You know, you force out the good people. He mentioned Reddit. I work with Franklin Reddit. I mean, listen. Nimrod and another individual, Nimrod, good friend, Moses Charles, is two of the people that the RGPF should be tapping into to get information or to get liquor directions of how to go. Instead of you politicizing him and said, oh, well, he's an NNP or he's going to be that. We don't want that. It's like you. They remove you off of the RGPF email list to give you anything. Somebody like you, your program reaching millions of people, they have to forget that you're NNP. And they have to understand that Talking Points is one of the most listened to programs in the Caribbean, in the diaspora, where you have people, yo, what are you going to do, boy? Hey, listen, it's 8 o'clock, you know. I can't talk to you. Sheldon is on. I have to hear what's going on in my country. So listen, it takes us as a people, put politics aside and let's get up off our behind and get together, because Grenada depends on tourism and this thing is going to do a lot of damage to us. Alright? Brother Nimrod, like father, like son, in a good way. Your son getting on like that. Talk to you later, my brother.
All right, thank you, caller.
All right, brother Peter. Thank you very much for the call. And I mean, again, Sheldon, let me take this opportunity to say, you know, I know people probably hear me talk. Absolutely, right? I'm good. Everybody knows I'm retired. I'm here. I'm living here in Grenada. I don't need absolutely nothing to advise or to, I don't know it all. But for whatever knowledge I have, whatever training I have, NYPD and the military invested a lot in me in training. And, you know, I still retain, I think I'm still pretty young, so I still retain a lot of it. I also have a lot of resources in the military and in NYPD still. So once they reach out and you need my assistance, I will readily assist. I am not looking for a job. I don't need a job. I don't need the, you know, I'm not looking to get paid or anything. So I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there, that if my assistance is needed, because at the end of the day, yes, I'm NNP, but you know what I am first? I am Grenadian first. So I would always do any and everything to help this little rock of ours, because this is where I choose to spend the rest of my life. And I want to ensure that my son Rodney grows up in a safe society.
Now, one other thing here, a piece of information I'm just picking up on is that the Coast Guard was not involved in the search for these individuals in the early part of the thing. Now, I would think that if somebody escapes within mere meters of the beach, mere meters of the ocean, that one of the first things you would do is call the Coast Guard. Because if the Coast Guard had been involved, I think that probably some of what happened you may have been able to avoid at least part of what took place. But from what I'm picking up, the Coast Guard was not involved in the early part of the search for these individuals, even though they got out of a police station that just, watch how much feet I in military, I doesn't be good at the measurement, but a few feet from Grenada's beach.
Well, Sheldon, again, there's a lot of unknowns, right? There's a lot of unknowns, but we do know also if this vessel was in one of our ports, legitimately and legally, and everything indicates that it was, there would be, and something like that happened because maybe they needed them to get the ship out into the open waters, right? So let's assume that they needed the occupant. Was a distress signal sent? Did we miss that? To go with your point with the Coast Guard. But it goes back to show, hence the reason why on every shift, especially on the weekend, you should have an inspector below working. Because as a junior guy with 2 recruits and something like that happen, you think your world is about to end. So you're going to do what you have to do by yourself, hoping that you could remedy the situation. Something like that happen and you're the junior guy working on a Sunday evening, you're going to spend quite some time before you really call up the boss. But that's why the advisors and the police commissioner and the tacticians, well, I did say that I don't think none of these guys are tacticians, need to sit down and take a look at their manpower and take a look. It's unacceptable that a major police station in St. George's has a constable and 2 recruits that got 3 weeks of training manning the ship on a Sunday or on a Saturday.
Well, no. Let me ask this, because you know what's going to happen. You know they're going to put the blame on those 3 individuals. They're going to put the full blame
absolutely not
on those 3 individuals. No. I guarantee you that they are going to put full blame, the full weight or whatever they could use on these 3 individuals.
They will.
They will try.
They will. Or they will try, and they may even try to punish the constable to say, well, look, we do something. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with the boss. You cannot have all supervisors off on the weekend. It just cannot happen. It just cannot happen. I was good with what I do. Ask me if I used to remember when was my birthday or when was Christmas or when was Thanksgiving. No, I had to work. That's, oftentimes we get paid for the job and we think the job owed us. I worked. That's what I was getting paid to do. So I worked on my birthdays and I worked on Christmas. And even when I became senior and I was able to take off on Christmas, and so I still work. You know what I did every Christmas? Volunteer with the precinct and go give the kids in the hospital toys. I would leave my own children home and get up 5 o'clock in the morning and drive to the hospital in the precinct to put a smile on kids' face by giving them toys. Mm-hmm. That's what you do. So it's the leadership responsibility. If every boss is home, every supervisor is home because it's weekend, and you're gonna, things like that will happen. Things like what happened on Sunday will happen. So again, I don't want to say, well, the Coast Guard was not out there searching, but we only know about the boat part of the escape when St. Vincent alerted us that, hey, we locked up the three guys that you're looking for. Then the dominoes start to fall and things start to fall into place. So I'm quite sure if the Coast Guard was out looking for those guys, or they did make a run looking for those guys on Sunday night, we would have known that.
I'll tell you this, bro. You don't want to see some of the comments that I'm seeing on some of the cruisers chats. The yachties, as we call them sometimes. The people that are on the yachts and so on, they live around Grenada and islets. You don't want to see some of the comments that I'm seeing there. You really don't want to see some of the comments that I'm seeing coming in from some of these individuals out there about this situation. We're looking really, really, and I'm hoping, beyond hope, that the individuals were not killed. Maybe they were roughed up and so on, that they are found safe and secure, because we're not sure what happened with them. So I'm hoping for the best.
Remember, I started by saying that we pray and hope that there's a different end to this, right? Because it's unthinkable to think the worst. I don't want to think the worst. So I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic, very optimistic, until the evidence points otherwise.
Okay, we have a caller. We have a caller.
Good night, Sheldon.
Hi, good night.
Yeah. No, Sheldon, nobody had expected them to be on a yacht, escape and be on a yacht, go to St. Vincent. We were looking for them in Grenada, hiding somewhere in somebody's house, or some in a bush, or somewhere in some old house, or whatever it is. Nobody was expecting them to end up in St. Vincent on a yacht, take the people a yacht, and end up in St. Vincent. And the problem is, how do they escape from the police on them? This is what's baffling me. How did they escape from the police? And the thing is that I know we had beach police on them on the beach, right? But now we don't even have no beach police patrols in the beach and all those things there. They get rid of all those things on them. So we have no security in Grenada. Our security get ruthless in Grenada. And the problem is that these young police officers and them that getting in there, they only had 3 months training. Whereas I think you had to say somewhere like 6 months or more than 6 months in a training school, right? They cut back on everything, right? So this is the problem now we have in Grenada. We have no security in Grenada. Thank you.
All right, my dear. And let me just say though that we do have police officers who are still patrolling the beach, and so there are police officers that patrol the beach still. As to, I am not placing the blame on the officers that were on the at the station that evening. There have been, from what I have gathered, multiple reports of the state of the holding cell. Multiple reports. Before we go to another, let's take another call, Brother Nimrod, and then you'll come back in. So let's take this call and we'll come back in. Go right ahead, caller.
Good night, Sheldon. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I listen to your program almost every night. And last night, the one with the woman, the one who does the cooking in the school, the amount of passion she speak with, and you just wonder all these people are being ignored. The politicians, the MPs, they were quick to raise the salaries, but for her, they're almost ignoring her. My take on this thing, really the full Grenadians have been duped. We have been duped. We get a government that really want to deceive. They're full of deceptions. And I don't know how we're going to cope with that. But I believe Dr. Mitchell was I'm not getting the words right, I'm sorry, but what to put it right? Let me call you back in a while because I
Okay.
think
No problem.
something here.
No problem, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Go right ahead.
No, I must say, the caller is right. I heard the first part and then he faded off. But I must say he was right. I listened in last night. I heard you calling for me actually, but I wanted a little more information. But I must say that cook, that young lady that talked about the kids, yes, indeed, she spoke with passion. And I myself, I wouldn't say I tear up, but I sat there and I'm like, unbelievable because, and I was thinking the same thing, like within 16 months, I mean, there were 2 major raises to the individual politician salary and the poor people or those that make less income that really need it, there was nothing significantly done. Even if you pass the law stating that the minimum wage should be, X amount. I didn't know you was a good maths teacher, man. Maybe
My maths was off slightly. So, because remember, you're dealing with a 40-hour work week. Somebody corrected me afterwards. So we're dealing with a 40-hour work week at $9.60 per hour. So it works out to 1,520.
But the general, listen, in maths is not always the right answer, but it's because you probably get more marks for showing how you work out the problem as opposed to having the right answer. At least
Dr. Mitchell might be listening.
Well, at least when I did A-level maths, back then it was not much.
Yeah. Oh, for some reason you've gone on mute, bro. I'm not sure why you've gone on mute there. I don't know what you've touched, but you've gone on mute. But we missed that call. We have a caller online. Let me take the caller. But I don't know why you've gone on mute there. Let me see if it's on. Yeah, your line is muted on your end. But go right ahead, caller. You go right ahead. Caller? Hello? Okay, the caller has nothing. Brother Nimrod, no, it's your mic is off. On your end, your mic is off. And I'm not sure why it's off, but I think it's off on the Zoom itself. So you'll just have to check that and come back in with us there. I'm not sure why that is so, but just check it and you can give us a call back. But in the interim, let me take this course. I'm sure you're going to hear. Caller, go right ahead. You're live.
Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello? Yes, you go right ahead.
Hello?
Yes, we're hearing you. We're hearing you, caller. You go right ahead. Go right ahead, caller. You're live.
Good night to you, Comrade Nimrod.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, caller. Proceed with your call. Hello? Okay. Caller, please pay attention to the phone line when you call. Do not listen to us on the device in the background. Just kindly listen to us on the device that if you're using your mobile or so on. Listen to us on the phone itself when you call. Let's try again. Hello, good night.
Good night to you, Sheldon, and good night to you, Comrade Nimrod.
All right, good night. Yeah, you go right ahead.
Yes, sir. So, looking at the situation here with respect to that of the escapees and stuff like that, it kind of baffles me from being a retired police officer, that you as a supervisor, you definitely on all counts has to brief the persons who are actually working, right? Brief them towards the nature of the persons who you have in custody, right? You have persons in custody, prisoners who are there for, let's say, serious crimes. Now, let's suppose in that case your toilet facilities for the prisoners are not in the cell. You may have to be moving with them from the cell to an outside facility. In some cases it happens that way. In some of the stations it still exists like that. You know, this is all things that you have to do on taking up duty, knowing the persons that you have in your custody and knowing the offenses that they are there for. So as you said, you know you are dealing with high-profile persons, right, for, based on the nature of the crime they committed, so your person should know how to handle them. Security-wise, cell check. These are things that have to be done, right? At my time, I know it was done every half an hour. I was responsible to make sure I check the cell and make a note that the cell was checked and so on. Prisoner A, Y, and B is alive and well, or if he had a complaint, right? And the same goes for the young officer who had the prisoner run from him in Grenville a day ago. The reality of it is that this officer must have taken this prisoner from the prison, bring him to Grenville for a charge of cannabis. Is he aware that that prisoner has another charge pending of a more serious nature, which is a murder? So there it is. He come there with a prisoner, take him to the cell in the courthouse. Prisoner has to use the washroom, which again I guess is away from the cell. The prisoner use the opportunity and says, look what, it's time for me to make up my way. By any means necessary, I want to run because I'm already there for a case of murder. By any means I get to run, I will run. As I said, the situation here is, was the officer picking up that prisoner to bring him to Grenville for a charge of cannabis? Brief that this prisoner also has a serious charge, of murder. Okay? Hanging over his head, and all of these things have to come into consideration. So here now, like I said, it's a situation that's alarming. The place is kind of warm. Everybody is concerned because here in St. Andrews, I can tell you, people are hearing the talks of prisoner escape and whatever it is, and it's not a good feeling. Everybody is wondering, well, where he might be, and you know, as some would say, they're wondering if he would take a boat and run to St. Vincent like the others did, because of hearing now what has transpired with them in St. Vincent, you know. So anyway, I don't want to be too long, but like I'm saying here now, a lot of senior persons is accountable. Yeah, was briefing done to the younger officers, okay? Were they knowledgeable of the prisoners they having in their custody? All of these factors need to be this. And are we still waiting, you know, to hear the Minister of National Security address this situation? Because this is a situation of national importance. And as we said, the world is watching. The world is listening right now because you have 2 American citizens who are involved in a situation here where we do not know what the outcome will be, but we can only hope that sooner or later we hear good news that they've been found alive, because as they said, the dinghy from the yacht is missing. Okay, so there's a possibility it could be dispatched on the dinghy. We don't know.
Yes, indeed. All right, thank you so very much, my brother. Hello?
You're so welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, indeed. 4407377, brother Nimrod. Yes, we could hear you, so you go right ahead. Well, no, you're going off again, brother Nimrod, and I don't know. It's not on my end, eh? I'm telling you, it's not on my end. I am not aware of what is taking place with you. You was good. All of a sudden, you start to get trouble, man. You was good all the time, you know. Still not hearing you. Something on your system is off. And I'm not sure what it is. You're showing connected. Your audio is showing okay. But for some reason, all of a sudden, we're not hearing you. I'm not sure what you touch on your end. Oh boy. I'm not sure what it is that has happened on your end. I'm going to give you a minute to try and sort it out. Let me give you a minute to try and sort it out on your end there. We're going to leave the channel open, so in case your audio is coming through, we're going to hear you. But for some reason, I'm not hearing you there. And to the last caller was absolutely correct. Yeah? The procedure, there's a proper procedure that needs to be followed in situations like this. Was that followed? Was the correct procedure carried out? That needs to be found out. We have a call online. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Sheldon.
Good night, ma'am.
Oh, okay. The cooks in the schools, they was working for the money. They wasn't complaining, even though it wasn't sufficient, but they wasn't complaining. But you come now, and you tell them you're going to raise the pay $1,200 a month. Now they're talking about the money. You're saying, why NNP didn't raise the pay all the time? They wasn't complaining, you know. They wasn't complaining. It's you put them in that situation. That's why they're complaining now, because you tell them you're raising the pay. Nobody didn't hear them complaining before. So I find it really harder.
Of course.
And the next thing is with the school feeding program. Mm-hmm. We didn't say every week we giving the children money to pay for their food. You tell them free food. Now you come here say some of them saying, oh, they want money to buy juice. They never had to buy juice before. The dollar was doing everything for them before. Hey. But Sheldon, I'm finding out some real kind of people in Grenada, some of them.
I've already
made
my statement.
NNP. Everything is NNP. And then people don't have no problem with the food feeding program, you know. Them come and disrupt the thing, and then they want to blame NNP.
My goodness.
God be with them. It's all right. God is good. Have a good night, Mr. Sheldon.
Thank you so very much, my dear. And you have a good one yourself. Yes, Brother Nimrod, you're back with us. I heard you a while ago, so let me make sure I hear you still.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, man, we hearing you. Good, right. We get. I don't know what you touched there. I don't know if it's Rodney footed something. I don't know.
You see where he's at.
I tell you, I go through the same thing every day, so I know. Yeah, I don't know.
He actually told me I'm giving trouble.
Oh gosh. I don't know if you heard the call from the local retired police officer where he was speaking about the procedure in relation to a prisoner and transferring a prisoner, and when you are there and you're responsible for checking on a prisoner and so on. So I don't know if you have any statement, any comment, response to that.
Yeah, I heard part of it. I heard part of it, and the part that I heard, yes, I want to concur with what he said. He's totally right. As a young, so I'll give a quick story. You know, I always had to have a story. So as a young cop, you always have they tell you the three things that get you in trouble in the police force is the 3 P's, right? Well, as a young cop, you have, like, okay, why is the boss telling you that? So the 3 P's: prisoners, property, and personnel. So you always have to know about your prisoners and their well-being. Property, the prisoner property, because you're coming to the precinct with money, cell phone, whatever, you have to safeguard that. And personnel. But the personnel thing is about you, the supervisor, knowing where all your personnel are. So the now current mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, I was a sergeant on the desk, and he came in. But I just held the desk. I came in, I was out in the street, and I came in like, I don't know, maybe to use the bathroom. The sergeant that was there, he's like, hey, Ali, you could hold the desk for me a couple of minutes? And he goes to do his thing, and Eric walks in like a minute later, and he goes, hey, Sarge, what are you doing? I'm good. He goes, how much prisoners you have in the cell? I'm like, So he pulled me to the side, and he says, I know you're probably a newly promoted sergeant, but you always got to know how much prisoners you have in the cell and what your prisoner. He goes, you see this monitor right here? By the desk, it's not here for good looks. You have to be looking and keeping eyes on your prisoner. So he's absolutely right. Again, I don't know what protocols will follow, how long these gentlemen may have escaped before the discovery. But I do know as a young junior cop, and something like that happened to you, you would want to try, you will do everything in your power to try to solve it and to remedy it before you get the bosses involved. But that's precious time. If these gentlemen may have gone up the beach, our beaches are lined with all these hotels, right? What does these hotels have? Each and every one of them have a camera.
Mm-hmm.
That's recording on that beach, right? But these are resources that we did not probably use because, again, it's like, all right, 3 guys. I believe, and I continue to say, I think there was not a sense of urgency with this whole matter. And the sense of urgency didn't even start on Sunday night when this thing happened. It started 3 weeks ago when the first prisoner escaped and the management of the police force failed to take action to repair that cell and that hole.
Well, let me just pull something up here, Brother Nimrod, because several I wonder if people know what the cell area in itself looks like, and let me just give them a look of view. This is the area that the officers, the prisoners escape from. This is the area that the prisoners escape from. Yeah? And again, you can't blame the officers who were on duty. If several reports were made in relation to this issue, and after those reports were made, nothing was done. You cannot blame the officers on duty if they are doing their job in the way that they were trained, in the way that they were asked to do their job. But the authorities did not follow up on ensuring that the problems with the facility were sorted out. You can't come back and then you want to blame the officers who were on duty that day for what took place. I find it to be very, very unfair.
But Sheldon, who would be held accountable? Who would be held? Because anybody to be held accountable starts from the very top. So the police commissioner should have his operations officer and his personnel officer and so already in his office, and something should be done. But I could tell you nothing is going to be done. And if anybody gets punished, they probably would look to punish the junior guy. But it starts at the top. They are the failures. They are the ones that are not being leaders and leading effectively. They are the ones that are failing the young police officers because they're busy trying to figure out, maybe they was in the booth with everybody to figure out who everybody voted for. Nonsense. And it needs to stop. I mean, it's getting tiring now that this is maybe the 5th or 6th time I'm on and I'm calling for the politicization in the police force to stop. They need to take the politics out of it and let's get back. Listen, I am so proud of RGPF, Sheldon. When I did my master's degree, I had to do a paper on a police force. I couldn't do NYPD because I was a member of NYPD. And so I opted to do, I asked the professor if I can do it. It was like a 30-page paper or 40-page paper. I asked if I can do Grenada. And because of the size of the population, he said it was too small. So he says, why don't you do it? And you could focus on Grenada and compare it with the Caribbean. And I will tell you, when I called around the Caribbean and got data sent to me, and I left Grenada for last. So I had an idea as to what was going on in St. Kitts and Barbados and Vincent, St. Lucia, Antigua, most of the English-speaking Caribbean. And when I called and got the numbers and got the information sent to me for Grenada, I'm not going to lie, the superintendent sent it to me. I then call the deputy commissioner and say, hey, I asked for some numbers and they send me these numbers, but I can't believe. And he says, no, those are the numbers. I was like, what? I then called the commissioner, even after I spoke to the deputy, and I'm like, hey. And, when I presented that paper, you had to do a presentation for the class, and, I got an A+ and that paper. It was unbelievable. Everybody, because the crime in Grenada was so low. And it wasn't just like a 1-year thing, because I think I did like a 10-year, I got numbers for a 10-year. But the crime in Grenada I was like, man, how come we're not even upselling this place as a tourist destination when you compare to places, you don't want to call name, but islands that were probably half the size of ours in terms of population, and the crime numbers was 3-4 times our numbers for an extended period of time. So I applaud the RGPF because I know that the guys work hard. And that's why I'm concerned about the damage that's being done to the police force now. Mm-hmm. Never before you heard about this, the politics and this and that. Listen, people have a right to choose and to vote for whoever they want. All of us cannot be NNP. All of us cannot be NDC. But you have to respect, and our political leader, Dr. Mitchell, always says that if a man is doing the job and he's doing it to the best of his ability, that he's bringing benefit to the society and he's doing his job, it doesn't matter who he supports politically. It really doesn't.
Yes,
and we need to get back to that, because that damage, I cannot emphasize it more. It's going to take about 20 to 25 years to write it. And these advice, listen, the Prime Minister and the political, the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security has to start by firing his advisors. That's where he has to start to fix the problem. He needs to fire his national security advisor.
Brother, I want you to stick a pin there, because we have, oops, I just missed the call by because we quickly running out of time. You know, I have to get out of here in the next 7 or 8 minutes or so.
Well, Rodney's up. I might be able to come pick you up and drop you home. Because
I know how that goes, but I won't put you through that this evening. But what I would say, though, I want to give you an opportunity to make a final statement on, well, not a final statement for tonight on this issue, because I have a feeling myself and yourself are going to be speaking on this very soon again. So I'm going to give you an opportunity for a closing statement tonight.
Sheldon, I want to give our listeners some hope, and I want to tell them, as bleak as it is, that they have to remain positive, right? Grenada belongs to us, and we have to make sure that it remains an island paradise. We have to make sure, so we have to be vigilant. You see something, you say something, right? We know that right now information is not readily being put to us, but we are a small country and we hear stuff, because just as when this thing happened, there are some of us that knew, and it was almost live that we knew, hey, this is what's going on and whatever. But and so I'm saying that to say, I'm calling on the administration, I'm calling on the Minister of National Security, get the Grenadian people involved. It's only right. Let us take the politics out of the RGPF. Let us embrace the holistic approach for national security. Figure out issues with the borders, right? Maybe some of the money that we spent on the drain, we could have probably got another Coast Guard that could help us secure our borders, right? National security, I want to leave them with that message. National security is not just crime. It's a holistic approach for the well-being of the nation. So we need to understand that. And you all don't need my advice, you all don't take my advice, but Mr. Minister of National Security, my advice to you is to fire those advisors that you have, because they are failing you. And I'm serious about, they are failing you. They are not doing right by you. And the executive of the RGPF, you need to start operating the RGPF as if you are a CEO in a company. You need to manage the RGPF. You need to be a leader. Leader is not the rank. Being a leader is not the rank. You can have the rank. That means nothing. You need to step up and be a leader. These younger guys, they're needing guidance. And you need to guide them. Right?
Indeed.
So my good friend that canceled the press conference today, maybe they left to go under the bus, right? Because they're good at throwing people under the bus. And I believe you were the only one capable of having that press conference in a way that people would have understand. So I know they didn't confirm you, so I'm not sure if that had something to do with it, that you stuck it to them and you canceled the press conference, but that shouldn't be, because we should have a commissioner and a deputy commissioner or a minister of national security and a cabinet minister that can step up and inform the nation. This long brief that you all send out there for us to read, some of us can't read. And some of us don't want to read, because we need for you to talk to us directly. We need to feel, we're not living in an AI world. We're living in reality. We need to feel that connection. I need to hear my leaders say, this is what's happening, and we are going to do this and that to fix it. We are not getting that. We are almost at a lost nation. And We need to take care of this, because I'm telling you, among the yachties, among the traveling thing, this thing is going to spread as wildfire, and it's going to be a negative stain. I don't know if you remember, Sheldon, sometime back, I say sooner or later, if this crime trend continues, the State Department is going to issue an advisory warning for Grenada. And that's where we're headed.
Indeed.
But we don't want that, because we do need the income from the tourists. We do need. I still upsell Grenada to all my friends. I have how much friends come in here for Easter? A bunch come in for Carnival. I still sell this as the #1 spot to be in the world. So we all have to do our part. And I'm counting on my leaders to step up and do what's right for Grenada and the Grenadian people. Let us forget about who is yellow and who is green and who is blue. I don't know how many colors we are now. It's
I know. Looking kind of rainbowish these days. I know.
We are all Grenadians, Carriacounians, and Petit Martinican, and yours truly have a little of all in him, because I am an Olivier, right?
Yeah.
I'm an Olivier, and my mother is a Scot, and the Scot. Well,
not the same Scott. You know my Scott.
Well, it's a different Scott. You are the Trini Scott. I am the I am the Carriacou Scott.
No, I have a Carriacou Scott too. No.
Oh, you have a Carriacou Scott? Well,
no, my father from Montreal, you know, sir. My father is from Montreal.
My grandmother is from Bel Air, so it's not too far.
We got to talk. Nimrod, Olivier, and Rodney, we'd like to thank you all for being here with us on Talking Points tonight. Rodney look like you're ready to... Don't tell me Rodney fall asleep there just so.
Oh my God.
My goodness. Nimrod, Olivier, good night to you, bro. We know you have daddy duties, so go and handle Rodney. Good night, bro. Good night, bro.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
My goodness, Rodney decided to take a sleep one time. Rodney stayed there until he sleep. Oh gosh. If I get a joke for the week, I get a joke tonight. Folks, that's all the time we have for Talking Points tonight. It's been wonderful being here with you. Usually on a Thursday night, I have to head out a little early. But tomorrow night, we're going to be having a broader discussion. I will have another guest on with me on the Friday night forum tomorrow night. And we will be discussing that issue of what is going on with the cooks at the schools and that sort of thing, and one or two other issues as well. So we look forward to that one. So folks, in everything you say and do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you, and definitely not about you. Love each and every one of you. I am out of here. And we're going to end tonight or we end last night.
They say when you don't have good food, you must take in front. So this is my Kaiso for the Masgra 2023. Make sure all come out and support me. No politics, just Kaiso. Let's go. There is no place